Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Whoever is going to sit for the IIFT exam or any other exam per se, which is still there to be conducted, should try to get more involved into the way they are solving the problem rather than just trying to solve it in any other possible way. Hello everyone, I am Suvam Dhar. I am an IIFT 2020 first year student. So I have done my graduation in computer science and engineering. In the IIFT 2019 exam, I had scored 99.83 percentile. VARC and the LRDI were my strongest part. So I have scored 99.3 percentile in VARC and 99 percentile in LRDI. Followed by that, it was the general awareness where I had scored 98.18 percentile. And again, the quants was the devil here. It was 87.8 percentile for me. When I was pursuing my engineering during my second year, I started to realize that engineering is not something that I would like to make a career with. As the time passed on, I started to get interested in the subjects related to management. I used to study a lot of things about marketing, about economics, things about finance. So that was something which was really intriguing for me. So at the end, when my fourth year came and we were sitting for the placements and all, I really had that feeling that I should at least give a try for this particular examination and try to get into this postgraduate degree of MBA as soon as possible so that the time I start my career, I can start it with that new field which I really am interested, and I can go on from that itself rather than starting from a career that I personally don't feel I am basically meant for. My preparation journey was basically not too much dedicated toward the MBA exam. So since I was in my graduation, I didn't get the opportunity to get dedicated training for MBA or the examinations, and I was not planning. I didn't have a very stiff plan about getting into MBA immediately as well. So at the mid year, like in mid 2019, my undergrad college placement season had started. So we were having basically the placement season training going on, and in aptitude, just like the MBA exam, is a very crucial part of those placement rounds as well. So we are having the placement trainings out there with every funds, LRDI, verbal ability, and everything. Everything was taught to us, but not as to the level as an of an MBA exam like an IIFT or a CAT. So I used to get most like in a month, a week or so, we used to have that kind of a training, and that was, I would say, my primary preparation. So before the exams, that is the end of November was CAT, if I'm not wrong, and the 1st of December was the IIFT examinations. So before that, I didn't have any sort of specific training that I went through or had any sort of mock tests that I had an opportunity to attend, which could be pertaining to this MBA examinations. But what I did was I took out some previous year question papers and started to practice whatever was there in those questions. I started to relate to whatever I was taught during my placement trainings and tried to solve those questions based on those trainings as well. So with time, I saw that I was able to relate to some of the materials there, and I was able to solve some questions. Initially, it seemed as if I am preparing at a very shallow level, and what we required for MBA was something quite deep, and we required a very strong conceptual understanding for that. To be very honest, I practiced seriously for around a month or so, and then I started to realize that things were improving. In my CAT examinations, when I appeared for it, I got a pretty good idea about what I should be expecting from my IIFT exam. So my CAT exam is not something that I would say went very good. I wasn't able to answer most of the questions because I had a time crunch. I wasn't able to organize and plan the exam as I had planned to. But that gave me a lesson. It gave me an understanding about what should be my strategy in the next examination, which was IIFT a week after that. So since everybody takes CAT as a benchmark for all the MBA exams in India, I'll just put say whatever my experience was keeping the CAT as a benchmark. So when I gave my CAT examinations, one of the very notable things that I still remember was the fact that we couldn't change between the sections in CAT. So what was happening was if I started with one particular section, I had to do whatever I had to do in that section within that time frame, and then it was possible for me to move on to the next section. So I was basically fixed on one section. I had to finish it, and that was somewhat a forced kind of a forced measure kind of a situation, at least personally on me. Whereas in the case of IIFT, the best thing about it is that we can move between the sections. So if I start with an English, or as we call it, the verbal ability, and I feel that after a point of time, I feel that I've completed whatever I knew in VARC, and then I want to move into LRD, I can do so immediately. I can do whatever questions I know in LRD and then move on to quants. So I have the flexibility to move between sections, and that has given me the independence to select how many questions I want to attempt in whatever sections they are. Other than that, obviously, general knowledge is an extra section in IIFT, which is not there in CAT. So any person who reads a regular current affair news, that is the newspapers, they watch news or like television news, read magazines, they will be very much aware about what is happening in the recent times, in the uh, current scenario, basically any news regarding the government policies, all those things that I thought before I sat for the examinations with the previous year's papers which I went through gives me quite a bit of an idea which I should be expecting in IIFT. But the experience that I went through in CAT, the mistakes that I made in my CAT examinations, was something which helped me immensely in IIFT. One advice that I'll give to anybody who's listening, because I guess there is another month or so left for the IIFT exam, that is on the 24th of January. So you have ample time to prepare. So when you are preparing, the best thing would be to able to understand the concepts of basically the quant sections, because the quant section is all about how you're conceptualizing the questions and how you're utilizing the formulas. So as I have told you, I didn't take any dedicated training for the MBA examinations. All I had was my placement related aptitude preparations, which was done, which generally is considered not to be of the same level as required by an MBA aspirant. But what helped me was the fact that I tried to understand the basic concept of why the formulas were being used, in what type of question, what type of formulas would make my problem more efficient and save me time. And that is something that every candidate, whoever has whoever is going to sit for the IIFT exam or any other exam per se, which is still there to be conducted, should try to get more involved into the way they are solving the problem rather than just trying to solve it in any other possible way. Secondly, would be when you are sitting for the examination, reading the question is very important. Sometimes what we do, since we have gone through so many mocks, we have practiced so many questions, when we see a similar type of a question in the examination, after reading the first line or so, we suddenly make a presumption in my mind, in our minds, as if that is the same question that we had practiced in our mocks, or maybe when we were practicing at home. But sometimes things are very much different. There are things which are very minute but change the complete definition of the question. Coming into the LRDI, there reading the graphs, reading what is the question and understanding what exactly is the data they are expecting out of you is very important, because we don't need to read every single data that is given in the question. That is what the people who have made the question paper want us to do, is they want us to read the entire question, waste our time on reading through every data possible, which is actually always not necessary. So that will not only save your time but also give you a very confident answer where you won't have to go do an approximation or something to get the final score. Today, if you ask me, practicing, like I think everybody would tell you the same thing, that practicing is one of the best thing to do. You do that, but along with that, try to conceptualize, try to understand the questions and use the formulas which best suits the question rather than just trying to find the answer for it. So the fact of the matter is, mocks are just a way that they're giving you a platform to practice. I just know one thing, that don't consider mocks or previous year papers to be something which is going to be a reflection of what will be coming in the examination. Because in our case, for example, we were expecting a 100-mark paper, but when we sat for the exam, we came to know that it's a 300-mark paper. So I won't say that the pattern changed significantly. It was still LRDI, quants, and verbal ability. But the psychological point of view at that point in time, when you're sitting for an examination, you have planned everything, and then suddenly the pattern changes from 100 marks question paper to 300 marks. Things seem to be a bit confusing. But if you ask me whether they're important, yes, they're very important. I didn't had the time, I didn't had the resources at that point in time to go through numerous number of mocks, that be for IIFT or CAT. Previous year question papers are something which I had actually practiced. I went through 1 month before the date of the examination, and I don't know whether they have helped me in polishing myself as someone who can solve questions faster, had given me an idea of how I can be more efficient in solving the paper. But one thing they did was that I got an idea about what was the weightage of each of the type of questions in different sections. Practice of previous year papers, it's completely your choice. Do whichever you feel is adding value to your preparation. For example, if you feel that mocks with each passing exam that you're giving on a mock paper, your scores are improving, please continue doing that, because practice is the key. So you practice using a previous year paper, you practice using a mock test, that's completely your personal choice. Sectional cutoffs are something which are sometimes the most smallest things that are ignored but cause the catastrophe, the biggest of the catastrophic results. Just because of a few marks in any one of the sections, they were not able to clear the examinations. So this is not only in the case of IIFT, you see it for any MBA exam. Please keep in mind that every section is important. So what happens is that when you're sitting for an examination, at least that happens to me, that when I first sat for the examination, since I had a strength in LIDI and VARC, I always had the tendency to attempt those sections first. And while doing so, I used to spend a lot of time in completing those sections with the pre-mindset that I'll do maximum questions out of the sections which I'm more comfortable about, and then at the end come to a section which I'm not so strong with, and try to do the minimum requirements so that I can just clear the cutoff. But that shouldn't be the mindset of these students when they were sitting for the examination, because each and every section is important. So when you're strategizing for your examination while sitting at the examination center or before going to the examination center, please keep this thing in mind, that you'll have to pass each cutoff, and then comes the entire consolidated percentile that will be coming and giving you the rank or giving you a seat in your favored MBA college. Don't panic at the exam, because a calm mind is your best friend in the examination. I am someone who can personally vouch for that. Other than that, obviously the reason that you have a lot of time between the CAT and IIFT exam, which was not the case for us, we were already in the flow of the examination. We didn't have a lot of time in between, so we didn't break that momentum when we gave the exam. Whereas in the people who are gonna appear for the exam next year, that is on the 24th of January 2020, you will have a lot of time, because the CAT exam has already happened and you have a lot of time going forward till the IIFT exam. So please don't lose that momentum. Don't lose the flow of preparation. Don't take a break now. You have prepared for a long time. Please let the momentum flow up till that exam, or not only IIFT, you have other exams coming as well. Till the moment you are going through every exam, till the last exam, keep the momentum up. Don't lose the frequency of your preparation. Don't get distracted or take a break now, because that will completely break your flow, and that can be somewhat difficult to gain back whenever you will be sitting for the exam again. And thirdly, for the GK section, just one thing that I would say: be aware of what is happening around you, and that would be more than sufficient for you to pass to that particular section. Basically, in our case, what happened, the pattern didn't change, it was still the same, but the marks for each of the question had increased. So from 1 mark, it got converted to 3 marks per question. So then the entire strategy, I thought that I'll attempt 60 questions and with a margin of 5 questions, that is plus minus 5 questions. But when I saw that there are 300 marks, it immediately came to my mind that, okay, now the cutoffs are going to be different. So I had to change a bit as far as the number of questions that I had planned to attempt in this particular examination. So what I did was that I stopped thinking about it at that moment itself. Now my only goal was, I'll try to attempt as many questions as I possibly can. So when I say as many questions as I possibly can, I don't mean that I'll go around trying to do questions which I'm not even confident about. Try to do questions which I'm confident about. And then if I have some time left, revisit some of the questions which I am getting answers, but they are not exactly the ones they are in the question, or they are some of the answers which I'm not very confident are right. I revisit them, and then I'll try to increase the number of attempts if possible. If you panic at that point in time, anybody who's sitting at that exam, because we don't know what kind of an eventuality might come in the examination hall where you're sitting, there can be many things that can be happening. It's not only about the pattern change, many technical issues might be coming in your system. There can be a lot of other things happening. So being calm and trying to figure out how things are to happen, changing your strategy, adapting to it at that point in time is more important. I never thought that this is the end. I don't get to pass through this year, I'll get an attempt the next year as well. But if I panic this year, if I panic this time, my chances of getting into the college this year would be completely gone. So relax, try to give your best, and just adapt to what's happening.
Hi guys, Inside IM has come up with an exciting new one-on-one mentorship product where you get to interact with superstar managers from different businesses, different functions. You can ask them everything around your career, your education, your future success. If you are interested, the link is in the description below. Thanks.